that's not accurate on date, or anything else for that matter, except actual current temp stuff. It is March 27th, 2024, and I'm just home from Adams Fairacre Farms. I brought some Texas Tarragon home with me. I got some other seed stock to talk about. So Adams is a local greenhouse and grocery store and sort of a conglomerate of stuff. I was looking at herbs over there. This is one I didn't have and I've wanted to add, so I bought 10 regular tarragon plants, and we're going to put these into some good soil and propagate them out, so we have tarragon as part of our repertoire. I did get one strawberry plant, but these are ever-bearing, and I really like the non-day neutral ones because you can manipulate them much easier for flowering, fruiting, forcing, etc. Alright, now on another note, I picked up 100 pounds of Kennebec seed potato from Agway, and I've got another 300 pounds coming in. So we're going to be set for planting some serious potatoes this year. Picked these up at Adams. I was going to order a bunch of these from Seeds of Italy directly, but they had a bunch in stock and it fits my requirements. So that problem is solved. On to the next. Well, now speaking of problems to solve, there's a few in here. I've been a little lax in here on my work. I've just been too busy editing and stuff. I just released part 7 of Regenerative Ag School series this week, actually yesterday. That was like 3 or 4 days overdue, and that 3 or 4 days between other work was spent editing. But it's done and it's out, and I think it's pretty good product overall. Audio quality could have been better, but you know, you can't have everything perfect. I had to move on. Anyway, so in here things have been laxed. We got some dead leaves here and a bunch of pruning to do, and we're going to get ready for spring propagation. So I'm going to go through and do a major pruning on all of the tomatoes here. We're going to take them back to pretty much vine frame, and then we'll probably do a foliar feed amendment and such to get them rocking. And then on another note, we've got stevia and large leaf basil are both going to seed. Well, they've been going to seed, and we're approaching mature seed that we can collect. In fact, it's about time to start chopping some of those. So that's good. The seed run was successful. Same with holy basil. We got several varieties of that to seed run out nice, and we got another seed run coming on again here. And I know these don't look like much, but you know, each of these, when it's complete, puts out at least 100 seeds. Additionally, the fig tree has been putting out like crazy. Well, not like crazy, but putting out like crazy for a grow lab for a small tree. And I've been enjoying figs off it, and I've shared a couple with friends and family here and there. But it's time, because spring is here and I want to actually propagate this out, and I want to make a bunch of new fig trees quickly. So we're actually going to gear this out and do some propagation off of it. I've got to get back to Agway and pick up some sand to do that work with. But I'll do a video on it upcoming on propagation. So that's all coming on. And then let's see, the sweet Thai basil here also is going to seed. I made a harvest on that, and there'll be another harvest coming. And then this tomato here that I started from the, I think it was Intergrow Greenhouses. It was that super sweet cherries. It's already starting to throw tomatoes out. This is way overdue for transplant, but we're going to get it into some good soil and give it some love and support. And I may propagate off of this. I think this is going to be a very productive plant, looking at how well it's done already. And also, it will clone easily, looking at how leggy it grows. This is one we can train and clone and manipulate very nice. It kind of makes sense why they chose it in the greenhouse. Alright, that's just a quick update here on the lab. I think I'm going to throw this out quick, just so you have an update, and then we'll get on with the rest of this video from there. Alright, so these have been out of balance for a while, and I've given them some foliar feeds. Also, I have not watered these reliably, and I think that's the bigger part of the problem recently. Because we do see new growth happening here, and I just gave them a ridiculous soaking last night to get the moisture back up. So they were way over dry, and they were going through a lot of tough cycles. So it's time. We're going to clip these right back clean, basically to the vines for the most part, and revamp the plants. They're going to look very different when I'm done. let's roll. I told you it's going to look different. Black crim is done. We're hacked down right to frame. Yeah, we're going back to frame. It's time for propagation season, baby. Well, you know, I procrastinate a lot sometimes on a project, but I don't screw around when I get rocking. It's been maybe 10 or 15 minutes. These are all pruned back, clean, solid, heavy. I did eat the cherry tomatoes. The other ones were kind of sour. Actually, one was going bad right on the vine. That's how imbalanced things were. So, great example of what happens when you don't have soil balance. It's good to have both ends of the spectrum for contrast and for reference. And now you can actually see through, and you can see the lemon tree, and we got more light coming down to the lower canopy, and we're using this grow environment much more efficiently, like we should be. Very different when you're outside and you have a sun angle that comes up on one side and sweeps around and goes down on another. That changes your angle of light attack all day and gives every piece of the plant pretty good access to light. Here in a grow lab, we don't have any movers in this lab. I've had movers on other labs where the light actually moves around. And something I'd like to incorporate with the LEDs in the future, but that's another project that maybe we'll get to in next winter. For now, we're set. We've got those all pruned back. I'm going to do some amending and stuff on them, but I wanted to show you this garbage can here is, I think this is a 10-gallon, absolutely stuffed, packed full of material, plant material, stem material. So, quite a bit of stuff. I'm going to go dump this out back, and then we'll carry on. I got some sweeping up to do, and then we'll get on to other projects in the lab. Refreshing to have some space and some breathing room in here again. It was quite the overgrown jungle in here. We actually have some floor room in here again. I can move. I could actually dance in this space again if I wanted. Feels awesome. So I guess I should just mention it along the way. I lost my normal 9-to-5 job today. Yeah. But good things are happening regardless of that. And I think I found a way to replace that with something better. And there's the jasmine flowering, and my phone is ringing. Oh boy, we made some room and then we filled it back up. Moved everything out over here to make some space. And given that we're going into propagation mode, I'm going to be getting the rack over here set up. And I might set up some other racks or shelves or something. Possibly I have a fold-out table I might set up, so we have a couple different decks for different levels of plant heights and such. We're pretty well set to go here as far as cleaning up plants, that kind of stuff. And I'm going to push over, I think I'm going to push as many of these plants that I can that are flowering and seed production over to the other lab tent, the 4x4, and try and just get them out of the way. For lots of reasons. But just I need the space so I can build the propagation setup. Sorry, I get distracted by too many thoughts at once. Anyway, I just want to do a quick shot post pruning and post reorganization. You can see we're on our way to getting ready to roll. Oh, I do want to show quickly 2 beautiful figs that are ripening on here, and they're going to be done soon. So I'm going to let them finish before I start propagation. I have to get the sand for that anyway. So probably this weekend I'll get this kicked off. And what I'm going to do is take and just cut all of these stem pieces down to like maybe 6 or 8 inch stem sections, put them into some sand to propagate, and then we'll have new cuttings out of each of those cuts. It's a new method I saw on an Instagram channel actually. I'll share it with you if I can remember what it was and where I saw it. Just give you a shot of the lemon here, who is really starting to recover nicely with several months of love and care and foliar feeds and amendments. Yeah, that's another thing I gotta do tonight. I gotta come back in here and dry amend everything. I'll hit it with some Kiss Organics mix and probably a touch of calcium sulfate just to keep our calcium levels up. It reminds me I still have to get back and order some feather meal and a couple other oyster shell, a couple other calcium sources, just to have a diverse array of sources. Okay, here we are the next day because I ran out of steam and I got 10,000 other things I'm working on. This Tarragon's got to go in, and I don't even know if I shared in the video. I'm going to have to go back and look when I download. But I also bought 25 pounds of ginger, and I meant to share a shot of that, so I'll give you a shot of that quick. But these are going to go over into, I'll probably put these into 2 crates, 5 each or something like that. Just to propagate, size up, etc. And that'll give us a really nice herb base. And then we'll have to find a spot for them in here because we really do need to get the lab set up for propagation. But I think I got some solutions for that, with a folding table and a few other pieces. I did want to show this strawberry. Seems to be very happy in the lab here. And we got holy basil popping up. Things are well. Ginger. And usually the ginger at Adams is much smaller. I kind of was hoping for smaller because it's easier to get more seed per pound basically. But these are huge, so that's an awesome seed stock to start from. So it is a positive either way. So we're going to do some fresh ginger outdoor this year. So we got to prime these in a crate. So we're going to set them up now and get them stimulated for growth. And then once they stimulate for growth and the weather warms up a bit, we'll be able to plant them out. So as with all things spatial, I'm looking at the crates. I don't want to take up 2 crates. It takes a lot of soil and floor space. I really want this to be a propagation base. So looking at configurations, I can fit 10 in here, but it's awkward. 9 fits pretty neat and nice. 9's the number this year. So I got 9, plus now I got one to give to my mom on Easter. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I like 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. 10 is 1 and 0. That's the reset. Well, if you've watched my channel for any period of time, you know we blend and mix soils up well. And when we go to transplant, we always take a look at the root ball and the roots and the health of the roots. And always, we like to break those root balls up and stimulate those roots to go out and seek into the new soil, so that we don't just sit in the same soil plug. And these are going to sit right on top, and we're going to fill in around them. So, yeah. So I'm not going to go back and grab the camera for every one of these, but that's a good comparison. You can see how much more root bound this one is than the other one was, and how much more roots structure has grown around the base of the pot as a result of the root health being advanced in this plant. And you know, you can see it in the top of the plant a little bit, but it's much more evident in the roots. Again, that root to plant, root to shoot, dominance balance ratio, cytokine auxin interaction. Okay, well, we got 2 plants in this one, so I think I'm going to parse this off for a friend of mine who's very generous with some seeds, and I'd like to gift her back something. So I just peeled this out with my hands without doing too much damage to the primary root structure here. A little bit, but not too much. And I just wanted to show how easy that is to actually do. You just have to be careful and gently pull them apart, and they'll come out. Go right by the base of the plant. You can see actually where I pinched the soil and the plant all together, and then worked my way down as I separated the 2 soil structures. Just want to illustrate that for people. When you're separating plants, it's not that hard to do. If you're careful, you can do a lot with them and not damage them. Right, so this goes into a pot with some fresh soil, and now we got another plant right like that. I just want to point out again, as I'm observing here, we got multiple plants in most of these. This has 3 separate plant bases in it, so we could actually parse that out to 3 separate plants. This has at least 2, if not 3 or 4 maybe. This has 3 or 4, I think at least 3. So just that, you know, if you really wanted to go crazy on propagation, I could probably have made 25 plants out of what was 10 originally, right off the bat. And then we'll be able to propagate out from these by cutting very easily once we get them established. I think these have been in a normal chemical nutrient program, so we got to get them converted over to organics first. And that's a process. So, well, there we go. Another mini field of dreams ready to rock. So now that we've gotten the tarragon out of the way, and we still have soil in here, I brought another bin that I emptied out in here. because we're getting ready to do the ginger. And I'm just going to talk about this real quick because I did a whole video on ginger and turmeric propagation, and if you really want to learn how to do it right, you should go watch that video, not what I'm about to do. This is an experiment, but I think it's going to work out okay. So ordinarily you would take these and cut them into pieces. Basically treat this like you would a potato, and each of these little nubs sticking out is an eye. And you would stick that into soil, and you would moisten it initially with nutrient, not wet but moist, and that stimulates the root, the rhizome, to start germinating. Hang on. Okay. So anyway, you would treat this like a potato, these like eyes. You'd break this into pieces, cut this into pieces, just like a potato. When you go to do a seed potato, you would let the slice part dry before you planted it, and then you'd plant it into soil like this to get it started for the season. And then once it germinates and starts to pop up little shoots and roots out of it, then you can start to divide those out to individual plants. You'll see as the season goes on. I'm just going to take a shortcut here. Instead of dividing these all up, I'm just going to layer them in here and cover them with soil and get them germinated and excited, and then we'll propagate out from them as we go on into the season. So once they pop off like a plant root, you can basically, start shooting a shoot out. They'll shoot a shoot and a root off of these nodes, these nodules, and then you'll actually be able to eventually pick the shoot and root off the nodule, and it'll produce a new one, and you can keep cloning off it that way very easily. Okay, so there's one 5-pound bag, and then I'll layer more soil on it, and then I'll do another layer like so. So we're spacing them so they have a little bit of space between each other, but not too much. We're basically just trying to trigger that germination phase. And in a couple of weeks, when they start to pop, we're going to go right out and move them out to some sort of better propagation method. Hopefully out into the field by then, but we'll see how everything rolls and evolves. Layer 2. So 5 or 6 layers all total. This is the remaining top layer. I'll throw some soil down on top of these, and then that'll be that. When this starts to dry out a little bit, I'll hit it with some C-stim, some C-shield, and probably some inoculants just to help trigger and stimulate that, growth and excitement of growth. But pretty straightforward. Hopefully this works out like I think it will. Alright, so tarragon is done. Ginger is done. We got soil. I pruned these guys back enough to take care of it for now, and we can propagate these sweet potato out after a little work. I'm going to drench these and the tarragon and the ginger with a shot of C-stim and probably some C-shield and probably an inoculant and a few other things just to really trigger growth response fast. Meantime, this cherry is very much overdue. This is that Integro Greenhouses cherry I captured from a store seed tomato, and it has long been neglected for a transplant, long overdue. We'll take a look at the roots quick, but I'm going to do it a big favor since it's been so patient and put it into this pot, give it some space. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. You know me, root-loving fool. Yeah, give them a little tease, it'll be okay. Was definitely starting to get a little root bound, but not as bad as I thought, so that's good news. Again, I always want to demonstrate that root teasing thing. You'll notice on this I went gentler and lighter than I would on something with a denser root ball or a smaller root ball. Always geared to what you're doing. There we go. Placed in the planter on top of some good soil mix. We'll fill in around it. We'll water it in, and it will also get a soak drench with a foliar drench. And we're going to hit all the tomatoes that I pruned back a couple of days ago or yesterday, whatever it was. We'll hit them with a drench too and get good growth stimulation and turn on lots of vegetative growth so we can take propagation and propagate out onto the new farm, which is where all this genetic work has been ongoing and gearing toward. And then you'll see beyond that, there's an even broader scope. It's going to be a fun journey. I hope you'll stay tuned. Alright, so now our transplant is complete. And let's just talk about manipulating this plant a little bit now. We want to gear for propagation. We want this plant to have a chance to get its roots set out into the new soil it's in. And so we don't really want to be gearing for tomato production, which is where it was trying to head to right off the bat, because, you know, we got to reproduce and get on with it. That's what we do in nature, make sure we get our progeny out. But we're not going to allow that yet. So we're going to prune back a good, I usually would leave 2/3 of a plant. In this case, it's a strong root base, and I really want to stimulate it well. And I have a foliar feed and drench that's going to back up this action. So I'm taking an action that I know I'm going to back up with multiple other actions to support it. So we're going to prune back pretty hard. We're going to be pretty aggressive and mean. You might call it mean, but at the end of the day, it's going to be good for what we're doing. Here, we're going to even back another notch on that. And we're going to clip off the excess leaf. And now what we have here is a nice little bush with lots of nodes that are still on it. Plenty of leaf structure to support growth and capture photosynthesis to get rolling. And a really solid root ball. And we've tipped that cytokine-auxin balance now, where we have a bigger root ball than shoot ball, and it's going to trigger this thing to shoot roots out and go out into the new soil with the roots, and then that response from that will be a growth, a massive shoot growth. So in a week or two, when this bounces back, we'll get massive shoot growth, and then we can take propagation cuttings off of that very easily to propagate out in the field if we choose to do so. Or take one, put it into a crate, run it in the grow lab here and see if it's even something we want to put out in the field before we ever even decide whether we need to, can, or want to. And then at a moment's notice, we can turn and pivot and take cuts, propagate them out, and be in the field and running fast. So this is part of managing plants and understanding plant species and their life cycles well enough. You can manage their life cycles within the environment, within your control system, within a broader scope of things, and ultimately have better flexibility and control over what you're doing in a farming operation, a grow lab operation, a seed production operation, on down the list. Alright, that concludes tonight's update video for now. We got tarragon, we got holy basil, we got strawberry I didn't get transplanted yet. We got that tomato transplanted and pruned and loved and drenched with foliar feeds. We got drenches and foliars on these tomatoes that we pruned up. We got a drench and foliar on the lemon. We got that tarragon transplanted that came in from Adams. We got a whole bunch of ginger in the bin started, and that's a wrap for in the lab for today. And I got a whole bunch of other stuff done today for the new farm, and that is exciting. I gotta go work on the AutoCAD drawing for that so we can go build that new farm immediately. Yesterday. Oh, let's go. Thanks for watching the Pharmacy Seeds Network. Catch you in a bit. Well, you know, the computer's down. Completely down. RAID array crashed, data crashed, can't boot, screwed. In the process of rebuilding. That's a very long, complicated, pain in the butt process, but I'll figure it out. Even if I lose all my data, I'll come out of this rocking and rolling, because that's what I do. But it sucks. Anyway, tarragon is cranking, responding very nicely to its transplant into its new soil. A little bit of burn there, a little hot on ferts. The tomato is like seamless, bounced right back, didn't even bat an eyelash. These guys are already starting to throw some new shoot growth on here, you can see. Same here, just a little pops of new shoot growth, but it's coming. Popping up out of the ground there too. Strawberries hanging in there. And this guy's throwing some stuff too. So, looking good overall. And I gotta get back in here between computer rebuilds and get busy on some fig stuff. But I think it might be time to eat a fresh fig again, because I know there was one here ripening the other day. Oh yeah, there it is. I think I'm gonna have a fig for dinner. So I had an absolute and total and complete computer crash and then about a week in the rebuild on that. It's been a nightmare and a half, let me tell you. But we're coming out with some upgrades. They're going to make this streamlined. So I'm excited, and I'm going to bring some awesome videos forward here in the future. We got a much faster computer and some other studio quality production grade stuff here at the Pharmacy Seeds Network. So without further ado, let's jump in the grow tent. It's been a while. So here we are back in the lab. Things are coming along. Tomatoes are starting to re-sprout now with their shoots popping back out. Been keeping them watered and paying closer attention to them between all the computer work. And the lemon's doing well. And the tarragon has taken really nice. That's growing rapidly already. It's time to start pruning that and getting it to bush out. And actually I could start taking cuttings of that already. Score. The large leaf basil is finishing up seed production. That's doing well. And then we got a catnip plant over here that I wanted to share in full flower. Doesn't that look beautiful? I wish this were able to go outside so the honeybees could get to it. And then we got some figs ripening here. And these figs are coming down soon for a propagation mode. It's almost hard to do that to them when they keep throwing me tasty treats, but I know the yield later will be much nicer. So just a quick update here, because it's been forever. I guess we'll take a look at the two citrus trees quick. They're hanging in there. They're going to be glad to get some sunshine and light out. And then this ginger's doing well, and the holy basil that volunteered in here is doing well. And the sweet potatoes I've fed, foliar fed, have been watering more heavily, and they're starting to shoot some new growth out. We're getting ready for sweet potato propagation too, so pretty exciting. Alright, that's it for now. It is April 2nd, 2024. Cheers!